Greetings sailors and welcome back to World of Warships, and today I'll look at the Admiral Schröder, which is of course the reward, the ultimate reward for the dockyard that's just finished. There was of course also the Renown 44 as the halfway point reward, and I have played that previously, and to be honest I think that's a more interesting ship to me than the Schröder itself, although the Schröder does offer something that we don't see elsewhere. It is a little bit unique among the Tier 9 cruisers because, like a lot of the other Tier 9 cruisers, it's packing big guns. It has 12-inch guns, and you can see the other 12-inch gunned cruisers I've got myself all here. There might be... I mean, there are obviously ones at Tier 10. I can't remember if there's any others at Tier 9 that I'm missing, but yeah, it's not unique in that regard, and in fact it does not have that many of them. It's only got 4 twin turrets. Well, having said that, it's still only one less than, say, Aegea or Alaska. But the thing is, these are all much better armoured ships, because when you see a big gunned cruiser at the higher tiers, you tend to think, okay, it's going to have good armour to go with it, because up until now, that's basically been the case for anything with essentially a battleship caliber gun. But it's not the case for the Schröder. The Schröder is quite a squashy heavy cruiser, and so it's really a glass cannon in the truest sense of the word. I don't think we have anything that is quite this big guns that has this level of squashiness. I mean, there's the British heavy cruisers are also quite squashy, of course, but their guns aren't anywhere near this big. They're 9-point-something inches, and 9.2, I think, and these are, of course, 12-inch guns. These are, you know, it's a proper battleship caliber gun. And the reason why it's so squashy is because it has a tiny, teeny little belt of 190 millimeters, and the rest of it is all considerably less. And you compare that to let's say Alaska, which has got a over 200 millimeter belt, Aegea, which is 90 mil upper, 190 mil, not that much thicker, but it's enough to tank with. And yeah, it's how it I went in thinking this was going to be somewhat similar, but it really isn't. And then I checked the armour and I realised why. But to go with that, it does also have an almost absurd level of concealment for a ship with guns this big. 10.2 kilometres. All of the rest of these are sort of around 12-ish. I think the Kronstadt might even be a bit worse than that. Yeah, that's almost 13 kilometres. So it's a very sneaky cruiser for Tier 9, with very big guns for Tier 9. But of course, there are still plenty of things that are going to spot you, so it is an advantage. But if there are ships that are sneakier than you around, i.e. most, if not all, destroyers, then of course that can negate that, and submarines as well, and of course carriers will also negate that. Well, I think the air concealment is reasonable, 8.1, but it's still not that fantastic. So it's a bit tempting to think, okay, I can get in close and unleash a sneaky salvo of large caliber ammunition, but yeah, that's usually not going to work out for you. The other thing that makes it a bit different from the other German cruisers at this tier is it entirely lacks artillery, not artillery, torpedoes even, and I even noticed that you don't have airdrop depth charges. You've got just regular roll off the deck depth charges. So yeah, if you come across a submarine, there's that much less you can do about it. But that's a real mixed thing with cruisers. Some cruisers have got airdrops and others don't. I think most of the big other heavy cruisers do have airstrike airdropped depth charges. So yeah, that's another way in which it's different. Anyway, enough blather. Let's give it a go and see if I can try and not get completely blantered by large guns. I have taken the range mod on this rather than the reload mod. With the reload mod, you can get it down to like 15 point something seconds. Without it, it's 18 seconds, and I think unmodified it is the fastest firing of all of the big gun cruisers. Although, as I've also pointed out, it has the fewest guns at 8 barrels, and a lot of the others have triple turrets, so they've got more firepower forward than they do aft. But sometimes that can be useful, having that balanced firepower setup if you're having to fire at things behind you. So, we have 1 submarine, no destroyers. That's actually my second game today that's not had any destroyers at all, which is slightly weird. And no CVs. So, having said you can get outspotted by a lot of things, I think the Takahashi and the Salmon can outspot me. I can't say offhand what the Takahashi's concealment is, but it must be around about mine, if not slightly better. Or it might be very slightly worse. But, yeah. Okay, this is one of those rare occasions when, in this cruiser, I am actually going to be one of the sneakiest ships on the field. Which is probably not a thing I will get to experience very often. In terms of consumables, you can see there you've got hydro, engine boost, repair party. You don't have catapult either, so no torpedoes, no catapult. You are paying quite a lot for having that sneakiness. Or rather, I suppose we could say that sneakiness does come with some significant downsides aside from just the armour. But the speed boost can be useful if you're trying to make a quicker getaway to get undetected, so you're not getting pummeled to death quite as quickly. I think the heal is just a regular heal as well, so there's nothing special going on there. Most of the squashy cruisers, well, the British squashy cruisers all have enhanced heals. I think some of the other squashy cruisers do as well, but not all of them actually have, except that most of was an entirely incorrect way to start that sentence now I think about it. So it is interesting though. I mean, this does make it rather unique, and I think there really isn't anything else quite like it in terms of just the bigness of gun on a sneaky platform that is quite this squashy. I mean, it is still a decent strip of belt armour, it's just, it's such a small strip of belt armour. And my experience is that shots that I would have expected to tank on the belt on other large gun cruisers, or even some of the, regular 8-inch gun cruisers, they will significantly hurt you in this ship. So I'm just gonna play it cool for now. We've got no idea where the enemy sub might be, but they may be on this side, considering this is where our sub has spawned. It's a little bit tempting to pop out and maybe blast that Miyoko, but that's probably not a great idea. Seems like they have more ships over here than we do. Yeah, oh well, there goes the Miyoko. It was 5 versus 4 in terms of surface chips, but now the Miyoko, not so much! Although we do have our sub as well. Don't get torpedo sub. Right, so we're actually capping right now, along with the submarine. And once we've done that, we will try and actually do some damage. And see how we get on with these guns. So there's the Prince Heinrich. There's the enemy Schröder. Heinrich is not really a good target. Let's go for the enemy Schröder. See how we do with that. Okay, that was a decent-ish hit, I suppose. Not a huge amount of damage. If he shows broadside, well, actually, hang on a second. He's probably, if he knows the sub's there, he's probably lamenting the lack of ability to airdrop depth charges at the moment. Yeah, I think if possibly spotted the sub if they've got the Hydro going. I have seen a few of these things around, but not actually that many. It does seem like it's more of a... maybe going to be more of a niche ship with its unusual combination of characteristics. I mean, I do like big gun cruisers overall, but it did take some adjustment to play this and not just get sunk because it is quite squashy. You do have to have the mindset of like an Ibuki or something like that, where yes, you are quite sneaky and yes, your guns are decent, but if you get spotted, you can eat quite a lot of damage quite quickly. But given that we thinned out their cruisers, yeah, we do now seem to have these couple of ships on the run. So let's just see if we can farm some damage and not take too much in return. This is looking alright so far, you know, just looking at the mini-map. But we are only one ship ahead, so yeah, this flank seems okay. And if we can get these ships taken down, then that will help out the team quite a bit. Okay, you're firing high explosive. I don't know that I'd be doing that in a Prince Heinrich. But okay. Right, if I extinguish the fire, I can actually get unspotted here. Oh, the Monarch's about to go down. There we go. Let's finish off the Monarch. I don't want them to get away. You do have very nice angles on this fully rotating rear turret, so that actually means that you've got 3 of your 4 turrets available quite a lot of the time, which is it's a nice feature of this ship. You don't have to massively angle to get that. Okay, so of course Heinrich has torpedoes, so we're going to want to get the Hydro going, and while they're not looking at me, I'm going to make a turn. I think he's trying to torpedo the Alsace. That's his main focus right now. Oh, and now I have HE loaded for when he's broadside, when this would have been a lovely use for the yeah. I gotta say, I mean, if you made me pick of all the heavy cruisers, my favourite is by far the Siegfried with its 15-inch guns. Very, very high battleship caliber guns for a cruiser, and it's still pretty tanky for a cruiser overall. So yeah, this is quite an adjustment. I don't think there's anything special about the secondaries on the ship aside from the usual increased HE penetration. So yeah, they have a decent range. I do have the secondary flag, but there's no captain skills or equipment to increase that. Right, let's get a bit closer to this Cleveland. So the Takahashi there as well. Nice Citadel. The turrets are nice and responsive. Oof! Oh dear, Takahashi. That didn't look pleasant. Yeah, we actually have lost some ships on this side, but I mean, given the cap difference. Oh, I was hoping I could get that in time, but it doesn't look like it. Yeah. I mean, we could end up throwing this, but I'd like not to. Oh, Sun Yat-sen. I've seen 1 or 2 of those. I don't know how how it plays any different than the Kremlin, or if it's just a rebadged Kremlin like we've had for some of the other particularly Pan-Asian ships, the premiums. Which, yeah, I mean, it was disappointing to see that they essentially took the same fantasy approach with the Pan-American cruisers for the large part. I think there's a lot of the... I mean, I don't know how big the South American player base is, but I think there's probably a fair few of them that know their naval history that are going to be rightly disappointed by the fact that there was a much more actually representative historical route they could have taken instead of here's a bunch of what ifs and maybes of American ships, essentially. Certainly all the high tier ones. I think there was it like 2 or 3 of them actually existed? I think 3 if you include the Almirante Grau, which is going to be the premium tier 8. That actually looked like it might be interesting at first, but oh, hello. Okay, this is going to be a bit ouchy. But yeah, the nerfs it's had in the dev blog in order to basically all in the service of its combat instructions gimmick, which it's feeling increasingly like what happened with the Dutch cruisers in testing when they were sort of increasingly nerfed for the sake of the airstrike gimmick. Right, Sun Yat-sen's there, I don't want to mess with that. Might even be what's aiming at me right now. Yep. 14k, ouch. Let's get one salvo off and then try and disappear, shall we? And then we're going to have to get a heal going. It's a pity to have to, you know, leave damage on the table, as it were, but yeah, we really need to have a heal. This thing just loses health so quickly. And it's not even really citadels, I don't think. It just takes big chunks of heavy damage. I've not yet had a game where I've been deleted as if I was in a British light cruiser. But I have still managed to die quite quickly all the same, sometimes just from the fact that it does take those big chunks of heavy damage.
Torpedos voraus. Torpedos voraus.
I probably should pop my hydro, actually. Right, the sub's all the way down there. Let's switch to high explosive. See if we can get a fire going on that Sun Yat-sen. It's otherwise occupied. Yeah, I know you're there, Takahashi. Right, I don't think it's the most efficient to be firing high explosive with this, but at this range the 12-inch guns are not as likely to do anything against heavily armoured battleships such as those two. So let's just try and stick some fires. Guess the Sun Yat-sen, either they figure they have enough health or their DCP's on cooldown. What have we got left? Colorado, Chapayev, me and the submarine. But we're also at 900 points. Right, that Izumo kind of needs to die.
Gefecht endet in 5 Minuten.
Put the speed boost on, hopefully make ourselves a little harder to hit. So fire gonna stick? Right, unless they've got a heal, that Izumo should be going down. Somebody else might sneak the kill. There we go. That was enough for the win. Okay, we got a bit close at the end there in terms of ships, but because we had the caps. Yeah, 90k, that's reasonable, I think. That was alright. I could actually. I mean, I have the credits to spare. We could try the alternative way, which of course is having the quicker reload. And that takes us down to 15.8, so it's not 15 and a bit, it's just under 16 seconds, which is still pretty impressive for 12-inch guns. And that actually takes the range down to 18.4, which is okay. But at tier 9, 18.4 is still, you know, you've still got to get well within the range of the very big guns, and it's just that little bit less manoeuvring room. So no subs, no CVs, but we do have some destroyers this time. And we also have some super ships, some tier 11s. So we'll see how this goes. It's an arms race game as well, which is going to be an interesting change of pace. I do like arms race. I'm quite glad it got added to the random rotation as a game mode. And here's where the sneakiness might actually come in useful, although arms race you do tend to have to rely a lot more on your destroyers being able to competently pick up things and not just do it in a way that's going to get themselves killed. You have to have an escape plan, basically, and I've seen destroyers all too often just charge in without any route of escape. And they then just get a bit picked apart. Right, do I want... There's actually a good argument for having expert loader on this. Because it's, I mean, still a longish reload for a heavy cruiser. You know, if you just think heavy cruiser in general, 16.8 seconds is a a long reload. But it is also putting it down into the realm of some of the 8-inch gun cruisers. Like, it would definitely be on the high side, the very high side for an 8-inch gun cruiser. But these aren't 8-inch guns. So yeah, there's almost an argument for being able to not have to do the full reload if you want to switch your shell type, which I think you're going to want to quite often. Just so you can have something you can do more reliably against the more heavily armed targets. Okay, so that is an idea. And let's have go at them. See who fires back. There's a smoke. Jean-Bar and a Schröder. It's not the most maneuverable ship. It does still have large ship maneuverability. which I think means it requires an extra layer of caution compared to most other like squashy cruisers that will tend to have better handling, although that's not necessarily always true, of course. Oh, nice. That's their L being out of commission. So yeah, you don't necessarily have the option to wiggle. Stealth is by far your best friend in this ship. Well, I'm guessing that smoke is just blocking the view of the Jean Bar. Okay, there's the HP regen, that's useful. My team don't have one of them yet, and our Yamagiri might well be able to grab that one there. There's the Jean Bar. So there we go, scenarios like this, having that turret arrangement really quite useful. Meant 3 of the 4 turrets were available without issue. Right, you've just fired. I'm not sure what camo that is actually. Interesting. I don't recognise that. It's another 8k. Okay, some incoming Colombo shells. I do have some islands I can use here to break a line of sight, which is useful. Okay, that wasn't so good that time. I mean, this being arms race with the health regen, that's going to significantly help me out in a ship like this. Right, I have to manoeuvre a bit closer now. Okay, well, the enemy team so far is being a bit cautious. I mean, the Elbing is not a particularly stealthy ship, but it's still unfortunate for them that they lost it on this side. But they've got their own Yamagiri somewhere. They don't seem to be particularly contesting the trying to go for the cap points, the buffs. And that does matter quite a lot in this mode, for obvious reasons. So yeah, it's basically what I said at the start of the match, that a lot rests on the destroyers in this game mode, but that means if you do... I mean, personally, if I'm in a destroyer in this game mode, that makes it extra fun for me. But I can see some people, you know, if they're more cautious destroyer players, not enjoying that so much, perhaps. Right, I might want to go to high explosive here. You stop, or are you just going slowly? Okay, the Colombo's coming this way. You just extinguish the fire, so if I set one it won't stick. Okay, I'm about to be spotted by the Colombo. Oh, no, no, I'm not, because he's in his smoke. Right, well there's some damage, but no fires so far.
Unser Team hat die Führung übernommen.
I think the Forest Sherman managed to burn him out. It would be nice to press round this corner, but also it would be a bit foolhardy. Oh, hello, it's here. I can't torpedo you, which is annoying. You could have a go at torpedoing me. Time for a speed boost. Well, at least now I can beat this reload. Okay, he's definitely got the armor advantage, but I have the hit points advantage, which is nice. Where was that torpedo drop? Don't know.
Torpedos 8000.
I'm not sure why they decided to just press in like that, but it was not a great life choice. I mean, it might just be because this enemy team ain't doing so well. In fact, this enemy team is doing very, very badly. And the Yamagiri is still out. I think the Yamagiri has basically just been ignoring the points, the buffs, which, given that they are by far the stealthiest destroyer the enemy team had, yeah. Not a good plan. Very not a good plan. Let's just finish off this Cristoforo Colombo then, I guess. I don't think this is going to be as much damage as the last game. I've not had any monster damage games in this so far. It would be nice if the guns felt a little bit more accurate considering the rest of the nature of the ship. Right, you've bought yourself a little bit of time, but only a little bit. Oh, well, having said that, that was the game. Okay, well, yeah. Well, that's the thing when I record these live, you're sometimes going to get games like this. But the first game was at least pretty close in terms of ships, even if we did end up having a pretty good map control as a result of there being no destroyers at all. So yeah, the Schröder overall, I think it's an interesting ship. Certainly not the strongest dockyard ship, but it does represent a different variety of large gunned cruiser than we've had in the game up until now. And some people might actually find the stealth plus big guns works really, really well for them. I'm going to stick to big guns plus armor with the, well, specifically the Siegfried, but, you know, the Siegfried's all the way up there at tier 9, and I can't be bothered scrolling or doing filters because I'm wrapping up the video. So, you know what I mean. Anyway, there are certainly plenty of big gunned cruisers that already fit my taste a lot more. So I'm certainly not going to begrudge the inclusion of something that has a different sort of play style to it. Anyway, that is it for this recording. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and if you did, you can do all the usual things down underneath the video, and of course, as always, stay tuned for more.